I would also like to thank you for the invitation, and I do want to apologize for missing last year's event that I did RSVP for and got caught in meetings and didn't make it. As some of you know from former meetings, I am a realtor. Have spent roughly between 35 and 40 years in the commercial field, mainly office buildings, and in Central Business District of Denver, coming down through Cherry Creek and South Colorado Boulevard into the Tech Center. So that has been where my focus has been, is property management and leasing. With regards to Englewood, I noticed, hopefully these were handed out, these Englewood profiles. Evidently, since the Japan earthquake, we have decreased in our size by a few tenths of square miles, 3/10 roughly, which was a surprise to me. The 2010 census, we have decreased in our population. And I can't tell you that that's truly the fact, or if we do not have everybody counted. We have a pretty diverse community, and if you look at the map, our location being is much smaller than most people think. Broncos headquarters are in Englewood, but they're not in the city of Englewood. There's all of this area that goes back to the original zip code days that are called Englewood or Littleton, which are not in Englewood or Littleton. So when your snow doesn't get plowed down on Holly, don't call me. Development. We have a number of things going on. The big one right now is finally Kent Place at University and 285 Hampton Boulevard. What is going in there, the whole plan has changed from what it originally was, but what is going in there are roughly 300 high-end apartment units. The idea that the developer has there is that they would like to take advantage of some of the empty nesters that would like to leave Cherry Hills Village and Greenwood Village and any of our other neighbors or young professionals coming in. It will also have a small fresh food new concept King Soopers. It won't be called King Soopers, but it will have a grocery store in it and a couple other smaller retail type components. One of the things that they did come in with, it was about a little over a year ago when they had this brand new plan, they came in with, quote, what is now known as refueling stations, which was formerly known as gas stations. And the community on all four sides, meaning Englewood, unincorporated Arapahoe County or Denver to the east, Cherry Hills, the Beale Mansion, about 250 people showed up, and I don't think there was one person in the room that was in favor of the development that was planned at that time. That is currently underway. That is going to add some traffic onto University, we believe. In fact, we know. And what the developer has done is dedicated some of their land and the reconfiguration of that intersection, which is one of the busier ones in the city. So there will be a double left turn lane, and so there will be a right turn lane going west that will carry traffic from University right on to 285. Additionally, we have, I think probably by now most people know Burt Chevrolet was sold to John Elway. John Elway's looking at doing some modifications down there. The name, I don't even think the signage has been officially changed yet, but there's some updating going on there. What used to be the Masonic Temple on Old Hampton, close to Swedish Hospital, that is under contract and is looking at being redeveloped as a multi-use type of property, rental plus some retail on the bottom, probably medically or medical related. Let's see, what we call the Old Valley site at Clarkson and 285, which has been vacant for 10 years now, has been sold. There has been some development talk on that. I believe that there's been something submitted to the city, to the Community Development Department for design review, to the design review team. I don't know what is going in there, but I've been an advocate of trying to get something going on both corners, east and west. The east corner, which would be the northeast corner of 285 and University, has sat vacant since I've lived in Inglewood, which is well over 30 years. So it's time for something to happen there. Martin Plastics, which is an industrial site at the corner of Dartmouth and Santa Fe, has been sold. It's looking at multi-use, or a small multi-use, small retail, but majority of residential units. I don't know if those will be for sale or apartment units. That is across the street from the light rail station at Oxford and Santa Fe, so it will be very convenient there. Flood Middle School redevelopment. Flood Middle School is right at 285 and Broadway. That is under contract now. That is being looked at as a fairly good sized multi-use or type of complex. Retail on the first floor and residential on the upper floors. The view corridors from those upper floors, anything above the second floor of downtown Denver and the Front Range, are pretty incredible as it sits up on the hill as you come up Broadway from 285. Let's see, we have a number of other, some short-term things going on, which we call a General Iron site, which used to be General Iron. It is right south of the RTD maintenance facility, the RTD light rail maintenance facility. There is a Planning and Zoning Commission hearing tonight regarding a contractor has come forward and would like to recycle concrete, help clean up the site, and all of this recycled concrete then would go back to Denver, South Broadway, and be used as road base. So this project is approximately 1 year. The advantage to the owner of that property, which is the Winslow Crane or Winslow family, is that it would start getting some of the things remediated and get the concrete off the site. There is, as part of Fast Tracks, a station that's planned to be located right there, which is called Bates Station. It was going to be a kiss and ride, and originally what was designed for that was for sale mid-rise units and some townhomes and an office complex. That, of course, was some time ago, 8 years ago, and with the way that Fast Tracks is going right now, if nothing happens, that might be 2042 or 2043 before we see that being a part of the Southwest line. If RTD is to come forward with a tax increase and that tax increase passes, it's probably 2020. And that station would be shared by the developer, the cost of it, the developer, RTD, and the City of Englewood. With regard to industrial space, I think as I've mentioned before, the City of Englewood has the largest area of industrial space within Arapahoe County. Roughly, I think it's 48%. And we are fortunate to have most of that right around Santa Fe. So Santa Fe is very easy access north to I-25 or south to C-470 or 285 going to the east or west. So that has remained very high occupancy levels through this recession, relatively speaking, I should say. I'd also like to mention that our neighborhood stabilization program, which I believe we were the only city of the group here that participated in that in Arapahoe County, other than Aurora, which is an entitlement city that gets their money directly from the federal government. This is a stabilization for foreclosures that was passed in 2008 and signed by the federal government, the federal legislator, and President Bush at the time. We have done a number of those properties, that is, purchased the properties from the banks, gone in, and totally remodeled and improved the housing stock and increased the size. And those are available for low income and median income buyers. And we've kept adding. It's been a very successful program for us. We do have, I believe one of your members is the lister of all our properties there. So neighborhood stabilization in Englewood has a number of things going on right now, properties that have been purchased and that are being remodeled, some under contract, and a number of them have been sold. We have a number of quality of life things going on. That is a remodel of a park that we just purchased that we had basically taken care of for roughly 20-some years, but it was owned by the school district. And we were fortunate enough to get a GOCO grant and Arapahoe County Open Space grants for the purchase and for the planning of redoing that park. So the school building that is currently on it will be removed, and the park will be through a neighborhood process designed and worked out as a neighborhood park that is actually utilized, since it's in our southeast corner, by Cherry Hills, Greenwood Village, and Englewood. It's an off-leash park, so I think Cherry Hills, Greenwood Village come over with their dogs and run them in the park a bit. We also, on the west side, King Soopers, which at the corner of Federal and Bellevue is it was the fourth King Soopers built. So you can imagine how old it is. And they are finally, having worked with the developer, I think they have come to an agreement, and we are looking at a replacement of that King Soopers. So that King Soopers may be shut down for approximately a year while a brand new building and new development happens there, which will be of benefit to the whole community. Just going into a little bit of our, again, you have the community profile, so there's a lot of the demographics and some things there. Our largest employer is Swedish Hospital. Our second largest employer is the corporate offices for the Sports Authority, and the third largest is Craig Hospital. And then we get into, I think, probably Inglewood School District, et cetera, which aren't listed here. But through the recession, Inglewood has managed to do pretty well. We have, we just finished our budget process last night, or our last workshop. I shouldn't say finished because we have to go through 2 readings in front of council to get it approved. But last night, on reserved, or undesignated reserves, we ended up with about 10.5%. That does not include Tabor, which is 3%. We also have a fund called the Later Fund, which is an asset fund, long-term asset reserve fund, that we receive rental income from property that we have down near McClellan Reservoir at C470 and Lucent Boulevard. We have to date leased 2 properties. We hope to have a 3rd property leased, and all of that money is coming in to the general fund through the Later Fund, and it will be a sustainable, these are real long-term leases, they will be a sustainable income. So we have land down there on both the north and south side of C470 and the east and west side of Lucent Boulevard, if anybody's in the commercial business and looking around. We also have the site that was sold to RTD for the final Highlands Ranch fast track station. And we own all of the land right around that. So in the future, hopefully it's not 2042. I've said I'd like to see it while I'm alive. Hopefully it's 2020. But that has been a real savior for us, I think, because of we are a built-out city, landlocked. There's only one way we can go, and that is up as far as residences. Boy, you wind me up and let me go, and I can.
Is it 5 minutes yet?
Maybe I'll end right there and.
Okay, thank you.
Say we have, the 2 pieces that I put out. If you're commercial, if you've ever been on Inglewood sites or haven't been on Inglewood sites, inglewoodsites.com will show you what's available in Inglewood on a commercial basis, and you can get demographic information, satellite photos, street photos, the whole bit right there. It's a free service for brokers, landlords, and anybody that wants to log on to it. In fact, it's actually an award-winning website that received a national award a few years ago for its economic development.
Great. You being a realtor, we have a support group that meets here every Friday morning from 8 to 9:15. So if you ever feel the need, come on in. Free donuts, free coffee.
Free donuts.
Yeah.
Donuts and coffee. I have a meeting with my fellow mayors and county commissioners this coming Friday in
Bring them in.
the fine city of Centennial. So I think I also want to mention, Ron had mentioned the southeast quadrant of the metro area. I certainly want to mention the southwest quadrant of Arapahoe County. Being Sheridan, Littleton, and Inglewood, we have Tri-City, what we call a Tri-Cities group, and meet on a regular basis, quarterly, I think, at least, and and have a good working relationship, and have had for years. So it's become about regionalism these days, and that's, I'll leave it there.